Hello, I'm back from Perth, so time for some more ISC action. My opponent's gone first with Audit. I have quite a promising rack. I'm wondering about Groover. Now, does Groover play? Audit only takes an S after it. I can't see a way of playing parallel, so I don't have to worry about whether Groover is good or not because it doesn't play. Now, what about the floaters? Do I have an 8? I've got the over prefix with ROG, O-R-G. I have Groovier through the I. Fantastic. Now, do I have anything through the A? I don't think so. The double O and double R aren't great. And the V and G are non-bingo-y, so there probably aren't too many 8s available here. Groovier 63. Well, I don't have a bingo here, but I've got a good scoring tile in the Z. And the Z goes particularly well with A and O because of Zar and Zo. I may struggle to play off the V with the Z. In which case I would like to play the C, so I'm not carrying forward 2 high-scoring tiles. Now, Colzar is good, which would leave AV. Nowhere at the moment for that. Except I could play it through one of the O's in Groovier. And either of those would score well. Zoccolo is good. I'm just wondering if that's with 2 C's. Now, Colza is still available through the first O of Groovier. Has my opponent provided anything? I don't think so. Now, I'm also considering row J in case my Z can go on one of these triple letter squares. And I think there may be something there, but I'm not seeing it. This leaves a slightly vowel-heavy rack leave, but vowels go well with the V. 32 points. Yeah, that's what happens when you keep a vowel-heavy rack leave. You then have a vowel-heavy rack oftentimes. Now, there may well be an 8 here through a consonant. I've only got the R and G of Groovier to consider. Nothing through the R. And I can't see anything through the G. But a play of avo or over would leave a rack leave of date, which is pretty good. So, do I have anywhere for either of those plays? And I have longer plays such as ovate and ovated. Obe doesn't take anything after it that I've got. So where can I play my V? I certainly need to play off one of my A's. I could play Vor8 in row J, but that doesn't feel great. It's not going to score a lot, and it's going to place an E above this double word square, so I'd like to do better than that. I don't think Gavoted is playable with 1T, although it may be. I've got 17 minutes left. I'm just trying to see if there is anywhere for avo or over. Well, I could play them in row I, but for almost no points, so I'm sure I can do better than that. Now I'm thinking about playing just Vara in row J, keeping DEOT. what about placing my A above ZO? So I could play a do. 26 points, that's pretty good. I don't have to get rid of the V. Now, can I do better than that? I'm just wondering about placing an E in this gap here so I could play read, keeping OVAT. But I think I need to play across here to get the play doubled. I think I prefer this to Vara. Not good. I've now got the V and W combination. And with a C as well, I'll be looking to play off preferably the V and the W in one go. And I can do that with Vor, which plays at I3. Not a great score, but my priority is sorting this rack out. So, do I have anywhere else for Vor? If I had an O, I could play Vrow in row J. So I need to see if my opponent plays a floating O. And I've also got Wave, which would burn my E as well. So I could play Waver in row J. And I could also play Wave in row C, making Woe, but that's not good because it places a vowel in the middle of column 15. I quite like a do from last go, even though it retained the V, because it provided very little for my opponent, just 23 points for him. Now, Vor is the best I've seen, and again, this doesn't provide much for my opponent. 18 points. Great, I have Cretins and Cistern. I have Cresting in row C. So, do I have anywhere for my 7-letter bingos? I don't think I do. Obe takes an S after it. Now, does Cretins and Cistern have further anagrams? So I've got Cresting in row C. That does place the C in the middle of column 1. I can't play Cistern or Cretins in row K. But is there a further anagram? And if there is an additional anagram, where would it play that would be better than Cresting? Nowhere. So I'm going for Cresting. This does open up a hotspot for the X. 74. Great. I draw the first blank. Can I play back-to-back bingos? Well, unlikely. Very few floaters to consider, just the C in Cresting. And I can't see a bingo through that. And the V of Vor, but that doesn't play well with this current rack. And I don't think I have a 7-letter bingo here. But if I did, the blank would be a vowel, so I can just imagine the blank as a vowel. Can't see anything with an A. Leg ward, not good. Or an E. Or an I. Or an O. Or a U. Now, given that I have the blank, I want to turn this rack into a bingo rack as soon as possible. And although one would always want to do that, I think with a blank you'd be more prepared to accept a low score to get your rack sorted out quickly. So how can I get rid of the W and the G, the two most non-bingo-y tiles? Not easy. I may have to hang on to one of those. So I could play weld in row C, which would open up column 15, which might be worth doing since I have the blank. Yep, 48 points for my opponent, a good score for him. Now if I play weld, my opponent will almost certainly play in column 15, and I'm keeping the G, so it would be nice to do better. What about wig down here? 4 T's and 3 S's unplayed. Not a fantastic rack leave. And only 15 points. But it is opening a bingo lane, which will draw attention away from the bingo lanes in row K and column 13. And it is getting rid of both of my problem tiles. Great, I draw 2 T's, which means I can use row A for rattled. And it also means that my opponent is less likely to have a T. But what if he blocks that? Oh, and he does. He does. Great bingo for my opponent, 97 points. So, do I have a play in row K, either ending under HU or beginning underneath the L? My opponent is now 20 points in front. So again, I really just need to consider the blank as a vowel. So does rattled have an anagram? Don't think so. Can't see anything with the blank as an E. Or an I. Dottrell and Dottler. Ah, Dottler. Dottler does play in row K. Is it good? I'm pretty sure it is. And the vowel I didn't consider was a U. So turtled, but that doesn't play. Well, this is the only bingo I've seen. Great, that looks pretty good. Fairly balanced. So not a problem, even if I haven't got a bingo. Oh, now column 12 is a bingo lane also, beginning with this E. I suspect I haven't paid that as much attention as I should have done. I can't see a 7-letter bingo with this rack. But a play of YU would leave a pretty good rack leave, and I can certainly play that in row B. Also, Guck takes a Y after it. So I could play Ulan across here. For over 30 points, that would be worth doing. AELNT isn't a fantastic rack leave. There's a certain dyssynergy going on with the L and the N. And ET is fine as a 2-letter rack leave. I'm expecting my opponent to take out this D, or rather the triple word squares in column 1. If he doesn't, okay, he does. And he's provided 3 new floaters for me to consider, so do I have a bingo? And I note that I have L and Y for LY ending words. Can't see anything with the M. or the P or the Y. Now, do I have a play down in column 2, placing my Y on this triple letter square? Nope, can't see one. So Yulan is the best I've seen, 31 points. Good, another balanced rack with no duplicates. And I've drawn one of the S's. Both blanks have now gone. The F is a non-bingo-y tile. I have foisted. Does that play? I don't think it does. There's a new bingo lane in row B, starting under the D of emptied. So foisted doesn't play at the moment, and there's no anagrams of that. I'm looking in column 2 to see if I've got anything with the F above the O. 28 points for my opponent. He's scoring well. Now, that's good. He's placed this A underneath this double letter square, so I have Fiod keeping IST for over 40 points. That's good. Foid, even better in the same spot. Fido, better still. I'm just looking at the M and P to see if I have an 8-letter bingo. Unlikely. So, do I play Fido? I think I do. Let me just check the remaining vowel situation. Well, plenty of E's, I's and O's, so I think this is the best keep. 45 points. I have Stibine, and that plays in column 13, making OBs. UR doesn't take an S, so I can't play it in row L. So I can't see anywhere else to play it. Hopefully that will remain available. And I can't see any 8s through the floaters in Dampy. Now, my opponent gets 35, continuing to score well. Do I have anything in column 15? Close to a basin, not close enough. Now this is going to stop one square short of a double word square, and it does take an S. So slightly open, 69 points. I'm only 25 points ahead. This is going to put me about 90 points ahead. If my opponent does bingo, we'll be neck and neck. And if he bingos and I draw the Q, I could be in trouble. But certainly, bingoing now is better than not bingoing. Have I overlooked a Stibine spot or another bingo? I don't think so. I do draw the Q. My opponent could well be about to bingo. He could play Reasons or Senoras in row M. But I have the I to go with the Q. I can certainly play QI. Great bingo by my opponent, 71 points. He's now 23 points behind. He's got an O. He's going out. I've got 9 minutes left, which is good. So what I'm looking to do is play my Q. I don't think any non-Q play is going to score enough. So I can play simply QI for 21. That's going to take me to 465. A 44-point lead. I'm going to lose 18 on count back. So my opponent needs 26 to draw, and he's only got an O, so he's not going to do that. So QI is a winning play. Can I win by more? If there was an H, I could play Feek. So there's the H of her, not available. And the H of hurl, not available. Are there any floating ends for chin? Don't think so. So have I overlooked somewhere that QI will play? And I'd have fakir through an spaced A and R. Well, I can't see anywhere else for my Q, but this is going to be good enough. 21 points. Now my opponent got 71 for end snares. I wonder if he had a play which would have stuck the S on the end of Stibines. Anyway, we'll find out. My opponent goes out with pot up here. That's all good. So pass to end the game. And the final score, 449 for my opponent, 465 to me, a winning margin of 16 points. So a high-scoring game and quite a close game. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go fast. He played Audit. This was my rack. I had Groovier and fortunately spotted it. My opponent's rack, he plays Je. This was my rack. Zoccolo was good with 1C. Wow, Alcorza also available, which I didn't spot. I played Colza for 32, keeping AVO. I think all of these moves are pretty much of a muchness, although probably the higher up ones are slightly better. My opponent's rack, he has the blank. He played OBE. This was my rack. And I played a do for 26, and that looks fine. My opponent's rack, I think he has a bingo here. He doesn't. He plays Van. And this was my rack, and I had too many bad consonants. So I played 4 for 18, keeping CERT. I could have got 9 more points, keeping ACT. Waiver G5. Ah, I see, coming down through the A of Audit. That would have been worth considering, and probably a better play. My opponent's rack, he plays Hurl. And now I played Cresting, which was the only playable bingo. And it was the highest scoring one. What I didn't see was Enterics and Enticers down from this E. And as I said earlier, I did overlook that as a bingo lane. But Cresting's fine. My opponent plays Guck, and this was my rack. And I played Wig for 15. Not a great score and not a great rack lead with that L in the mix. But looking at the scores and rack leads of the alternatives, there's nothing great there. Now that was fabulous news for my opponent, who was able to play Emptied for 97. And wow, Dottler, the only bingo, so delighted to have spotted that. My opponent's rack, wow, he's got Pan Mixia through an A, if there were one available. There isn't. And he played Dampy for 42, which was a good score. And at this stage, he's just 12 points behind. My rack, I played Yulan for 37, and I think that's better than Yuan for 34. I don't think the L helps ET by 3 points. My opponent's rack, he plays Ixia, and that was excellent because it meant that I could play Fido for 45 points. This looks pretty good. Does my opponent have a bingo? He doesn't. He plays Her, leaving my Stibine play still playable. And that was the only bingo, so was the best play. Now, what could my opponent have done here? Well, he only had end snares and nearness, so good spot by him. He had nothing to pluralise Stibine. Yeah, duplicate N, not great. And finally, well, oof for 33, you have to take into account count back, which is 26 points. That's a net of 7. Whereas my play of Chi, 21, less 18, a net of 3. So actually maybe oof would have been a better play. Yeah. I think it was by just a few points. But in any event, both of these were winning plays. And finally, my opponent got the maximum outplay by playing pot, so good spot by him. So, pretty good game. High scoring and quite close, and quite a few interesting racks to consider. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. Thank you for watching.